Okay, what I want to do is give a quick review on my bike setup for the 10-day, 1,200-mile Tour Da Yoop that I'm going to do in Michigan's Upper Peninsula starting on Friday. So I did this ride last year, so this will be my second year doing it. Just want to go over how I set my bike up and what type of bike I have. I've got a 2023 Trek Madone SL7 Gen 6 frame with the Ultegra 12-speed Di2 Groupset. As far as what I've done on this bike, different for this particular ride, I'll go over, and then all the maintenance I've done before heading out on the ride. So first thing is, typically what I do is I run Continental GP5000s, 28s, but on this ride I'm going to run 32s. And the reason why I run 32s instead of 28s is, one, your ride days are a lot longer. Two, it's not a race, so I'm not worried about that I have to be as fast as I can be. And you hit a lot of different surfaces. You know, there'll be some paved roads that you hit that are pristine, and there'll be other paved roads you'll hit that probably should have been repaved 10 or 15 years ago. And then you'll also hit some small gravel sections where, in order to get from one paved road to another paved road, you may have to pedal down a gravel road, which is typically a hard packed gravel road, for 1, 2, sometimes 3 miles to hit the next paved road. But let's say if you had a 120-mile day, you might spend 115 or 116 miles on paved roads and just, 3 or 4 miles on gravel. So it's not a lot of gravel, but it is enough. And so by running these 32s, it makes it easier on those rougher roads and also on the gravel roads during that ride. And I'm also running it with TPU tubes. So I've had really good success with these Ride Now TPU tubes that I get off Amazon. They work really well for me. They weigh, they're 36 grams, so they're comparable in weight if you're running tubeless to the tubeless sealant that you're putting in your tubeless tires. So it's kind of a wash between that, and I'm just not a big fan of tubeless. I've had too many bad experiences with tubeless that I'd rather just run tubes. If I get a flat, it takes me 5 minutes if I'm rushing, 10 minutes if I'm taking my time to just pull over, pull the flat tube out, inspect for any damage to the tire, and throw a new tube in and get on my way. So I just prefer tubes over tubeless, so I'll go with that setup. And as far as gearing, last year I ran the stock gearing, which is 5236 up front and 1130 in the back. There were only 2 hills that I wish I had one more shift on last year's course. And so after I got back from that course, I set my bike up to do the 6-gap century up in Georgia, where you do a lot of mountain climbing. And so I picked up an 1134 rear cassette for that. So I put the 1134 back on this bike with a brand new chain for the Tour Da Yoop, just so I'd have that extra gear on those 2 climbs. But I was able to make all the climbs with the 1130, but just nice to have that extra gear. And since I had that cassette sitting around, and I was planning on throwing a brand new chain on anyways, I figured I might as well put the 1134 on there. The bike came with aluminum handlebars, and after riding, I'm a real profuse, salty sweater. My bars started pitting. They actually started getting a couple small holes in the bars, and I've had bars break on me in the past from that. So I took the bike to the Trek dealer in Clearmont last week and had them put on a set of Bontrager Aero carbon bars. And when they did that, they of course had to disconnect the brake lines, reconnect, rebleed the brake lines, and they inspected my brakes. The front brake pads were getting, really worn down, so they put new front brake pads in. The rear brake pads were still pretty good. So not only have the brake lines bled, but new front brake pads. Then when I got the bike home, I pulled the rear brake pads out and cleaned them with a Scotch brake pad and with bicycle disc brake cleaner. And then I also took the Scotch brake pad and the disc brake cleaner to both rotors and cleaned any glaze that had built up on there off. Get those cleaned up. Then let's see, I'm gonna run a top tube bag this year. Last year I didn't run a top tube bag. I just stuffed all my jersey pockets with like Ziploc bags with my cell phone and extra GoPro batteries and extra stuff. But I've been using a top tube bag on my checkpoint for my multi-day trips, and I really like it because I can just, it's so much more convenient to put stuff in there than in your jersey pockets. So I just ordered this Rhino Walk bag off Amazon last night. It came in this morning. It mounted right up, feels good. I'm going to take it for a test ride with it, see how it works with a test ride. If it works good, then I'm going to run that rather than stuffing my jersey pockets. And then the only thing I'll have to put in my jersey pockets will be my goo gel packs and my Cliff blocks, and that should be it. And everything else, like my phone, my RFID wallet, extra GoPro batteries, maybe a couple small tools, I can just throw in that top tube bag and not have to worry about it. Now up front, I'm running a Raveman daytime running light and then my Garmin 340. And below this Garmin mount, I can either mount my GoPro or I can mount a headlight. So it just screws out. Last year, I was running this Bontrager out front mount. I just didn't like it because for the bottom mount with the GoPro, it didn't use the standard GoPro thumb screw. You had to actually use an Allen bolt and a nut and use an Allen key to get your GoPro on and off. So if I wanted to switch it between that mount and my helmet, I couldn't do that easily. I'd have to use tools. So switched to this mount to remedy that. The other thing I didn't like about the Bontrager, the blender system, I don't think it's rubber mounted, because every time I hit the brakes hard, it would set off the collision warning or whatever it is, or incident detection on my Garmin saying that I crashed. It doesn't do that on my other bikes that I'm using a rubber mounted Garmin mount. So I think that blender just, it didn't cut the vibration down to the Garmin. If I hit my brakes real hard, it would trigger that alarm, and I didn't like that. So another reason to switch and just go to a different mount up front. But that'll be my front setup. And then in the rear, I'll have my saddle bag. And in there, I'll just have I got a little Park Tools micro multi-tool, a tube. I've got one of those rechargeable mini electric pumps that I just got, so I'll be saving that, and then tire levers. So I got everything that I need. I don't need to carry like multiple flat tire spares, because they'll have SAG vehicles following you, and you're allowed to put a SAG repair. They'll have tools and everything in the SAG vehicle, but you can also put your own bag in one of the 3 SAG vehicles, so that you can carry like extra tubes if you want to carry CO2 cartridges, extra ones of those, if you want to carry extra spare parts, and then you'll have those handy through the SAG vehicle. So I'm just going to carry minimal stuff, enough to fix a flat, and then the rest of the stuff will be in a SAG vehicle bag, that if I need to like use that tube that's in there and get another spare tube, I can just get it out of the SAG vehicle. So that'll be my plan. That's what I did last year, and it worked out well, so I'm gonna do it again this year. As far as other maintenance that I've done, I punched out the front wheel bearings and pressed in some new ceramic wheel bearings in the front. I just put a new Kogel ceramic bottom bracket in a couple months ago. That's fresh. I just looked at that, so that didn't need anything done to it. The rear wheel, I took that apart. That seemed fine. The bearings seemed pretty good in there, so I'll just leave that alone. I cleaned and re-greased the DT Swiss ratchet hub and used the special DT Swiss grease on that. And then I cleaned my jockey wheels and got those cleaned up before I put my new chain on. So as far as maintenance, I think I'm good. The other thing that's different from my bike since last year is I changed the saddle. I was running the stock saddle, and that finally wore out. So I got this Fizik, F-I-Z-I-K short nose saddle, and it's super comfortable. I've done multiple centuries on this saddle, and it works out really well. So I'll do that. And then I've got my Garmin power meter pedals on that I'll be running. So another thing that I'll do right before, I'll wait till I get up north. I'm going to get up there a couple days before the ride starts, or I'll swap out all my batteries. So I'll put new shifter hood batteries in, new battery in my Garmin speed sensor and my heart rate monitor, new batteries in the Garmin power meter pedals, and I'll fully charge my Di2 battery. And then last year what I did was, after the 5th or 6th night, I changed my batteries again in my speed, power meter pedals, and my heart rate monitor, and just put brand new pedals in so that batteries in, so I wouldn't have to worry about any battery issues during the course of the ride. So that's pretty much my setup. Just wanted to go over this real quick and let you know what I'll be running when I show up there. So have a good day. Thanks.